Alright, just doing another NBA playoffs vid and Cleveland Cavaliers vid. Now, I was on record being a non-believer and thinking the Cavs were going to crash and burn, but I was completely wrong. I thought the regular season meant a lot more. I thought people who thought they were just going to turn it, I was all fire Ty Lue, if you look at my earlier videos. I still am skeptical that you can just, so-called flip the switch, but whatever you want to say about it, the Cavs did this postseason. So, I was wrong, and I'm thrilled to be wrong. But now we come to the finals. Yeah, the Cavs flipped the switch pretty much, and they did a whole lot better than I thought in the playoffs. Got a little shaky there for a game and a half against Boston. Down 16 in Game 4. We could have lost that to go back to Boston. They would have had home field in a 2-2 split, home court. It was very dicey there for a bit, but we came out dominant. Now, I want to point out when I'm making this video, it's 5:53 p.m. on June 1st. So it's about 2 hours before the finals tip off for Game 1 of the finals. So this is pre any NBA Finals action. And I'm here to say that the Cavs have a really good shot. I just about would predict that they win. I think people are really selling them short. Everybody I saw 538 had them, I think, a 13% chance to win. I believe ESPN BPI, that's ESPN's fancy advanced stats metrics type of thing, had them at 6% to win. So, ESPN's BPI giving Golden State a 94% chance, and 538 giving Golden State a 87% chance. I listen to a lot of basketball podcasts and stuff, and there's some people, I guess, out of all the podcasts I listen to, they all picked the Warriors. Bill Simmons picked the Warriors in 6. Well, I guess Shannon Sharp, he doesn't really count because he's such a LeBron homer, picked the Cavs, but even he was very, reticent on it. Skip Bayless picked the Golden State, which he's completely gutless because before the season he picked Cleveland. Although he did give the Cavs a lot of respect and said he thinks it's going to go 7 and the Cavs are very good and all this business. And then who else do we have? I don't know. Pretty much everybody. Zach Lowe, I believe, picked Golden State. I think I heard somebody on one of the podcasts pick Cleveland in 6, but I don't remember who it was. But almost everybody's picking Golden State that I've seen. They're a heavy favorite. And there's reasons. I saw somewhere they're 28-1 over their last 29 games, counting the playoffs. 12-0 in the playoffs, 28-1 over their last 29. Think about that. And during that span, they've won by an average of 16 points. They're winning every game by an average of 16 points. 28-1 over their last 29. 12-0 in the playoffs. So yeah, it's going to be a tough game. But let's look at the Cavs. The people are selling them short, in my opinion. If you look at the stats, I looked at the playoff stats here. Cavs actually have better stats than Golden State. Look at the field goal percentage for Cleveland through 13 games of the playoffs, 507. Now look at it for Golden State, 502. Slight edge for Cleveland. Look at the three-point shooting percentage, 389 for Golden State. Golden State, three-point monsters, right? Well, look at the Cavs, 435. Significant edge for the Cavs. And if you look at some of the individual players, that's with Kyrie not even heating up. Kyrie's shooting 356 from 3. He hasn't gone explosive yet. He can do better than that. That's barely average for him. Granted, you guys you got LeBron shooting 421, but that's another thing I want to touch on. I was watching the finals, Game 7 of the last year's finals. I downloaded that a long time ago, but I never got around to rewatching it, and I figured I better do it before these finals. So I watched it like last night, and I was noticing LeBron was he didn't want to take a 3 at all, and they were playing way off him. And so he just would not take the 3. They would stand 4 feet away from him as he's behind the 3-point arc, bringing the ball up the court. He's open for that 3, and they're just daring him to take it. And he was scared to, you could tell. You could tell it's just something in his mind that said, I can't make 3s right now. I'm not shooting well. He tried like 1, I think, that I remember. I'm sure he tried more than 1, but I remember just 1 late in the game, and he missed it. I'm sure that just reinforced the idea he already had in his head, like, I'm just not in a good shooting groove. I can't make 3s right now, because he would not try them. But this postseason, he is trying and making a lot of threes. Look at this, 421, and it's not like he's not, he's trying the third most on the team behind only Irving and Love. He's trying more threes a game than Kyle Korver. And he's hitting 42%. So I think that's going to be huge in the finals. If LeBron's hitting his outside jumper like he has been all playoffs and he's hitting his three more to the point, that makes him so much more deadly. And, even his free throw percentage, I thought he was down around 65. I didn't notice just here. He's up to 71%. That's pretty good. It's going to prevent any kind of hack a LeBron strategy. And, yeah, just 389 versus 435. And let's see who's making more. 3-point made, 14 point. Yeah, the Cavs are making 14.6 a game, and the Warriors only 12.1. So it's almost a 15-12 advantage. Everything that you think the Warriors are just so dominant in, like when you think Warriors, you think, oh my Lord, 3-point. The Cavs are better in this playoffs It's 13 playoff games for the Cavs, 12 for the Warriors, so it's not that small of a sample size. Like I said, everything you think that the Warriors, and I'm scared as the Warriors as the next guy. They got Stephen Curry. He's such a Stephen, as everybody calls him, I suppose. He's such a beast. And then you got to worry about Klay Thompson, and now you got to worry about Kevin Durant. That's all true, but the Cavs have their own guys. And I was looking. A couple things encouraging to me for the Cavs is how great Kevin Love's playing. A lot of people have mentioned it, and I've heard people say I heard some people on I think Skip Bayless said this is the best he's played in his career. Now, I don't know about that, because if you look at his stats here in the playoffs, he's averaging 17.2 points. 10.4 rebounds. He's playing well, but those weren't like his numbers in Minnesota. Granted, he was the man in Minnesota, but he was averaging, 26 and 14 and shit like that, maybe 28 and 14 or something some years in Minnesota, if I recall. So I don't know if you can say, granted, it's a totally different situation because he was the ball hog in Minnesota, but I don't know how you can say he's playing better now than his prime years in Minnesota. But another different way I've heard it put on one of the podcasts is he's playing the best he has as for the Cavs, and I can definitely agree with that. And, he might be playing the best of his career as well. I wouldn't doubt that. It's hard for me to say that when he was averaging, 28 and 14 or whatever he did in Minnesota. You don't know, basically. No, you transfer him over to Cleveland where LeBron and Kyrie got to get their shots. He might be playing the best he's ever played. It's just hard to say. But he has been playing great, and that's right throughout I've been focusing on that and saying, that's been one of the most encouraging things about this Cavs playoff run to me is that Kevin Love has been so productive, and, you don't notice him. He's not – Kyrie will have games where he overshadows LeBron. Now, granted, not many. He had maybe 2. He had that one against Boston where he had 41 or whatever it was. He'll have games where he, and I think that's the way any team of stars works. Like, you look at Golden State, it's not going to be Kevin Durant or Stephen Curry every game. There's going to be some games where, look at Klay Thompson goes for 40 or Klay Thompson goes for 35, whatever. Draymond Green goes for 30 and, 18 rebounds, whatever. That's the point of having different stars. And Skip Bayless is such an idiot every time Kyrie Irving has a good game. Kyrie's the man in Cleveland, not LeBron. Even though LeBron has 10, LeBron will have 10 games where he's the man. Kyrie had 2 where he's the man, basically. That's pretty much how it went in the playoffs. And, Skip will go, see, Kyrie's the man in Cleveland after Kyrie has his 2. No, that's the way it's supposed to work. There should be some games with Kyrie, occasionally. LeBron should be the man for most of the games. Kyrie should be the man for some games, and then maybe third, you should even get Kevin Love. You have some games where Kevin Love has 35, 40 points, and is the star. It's just how it works on a team with multiple stars. It's natural, normal, and good. Healthy, healthy balance. You're going to have some games where one of the big 3 rises up, or for Golden State, the big 4. You're going to have some games where Durant scores 45 and carries them. You're going to have some games where Stephen Curry scores 45 and carries them. And, that game Durant might only have 20, but it doesn't matter. It's natural and healthy is my point. But anyways, looking at, some of these stats, they were saying in another podcast, LeBron playing 40.9 minutes average. But yeah, Kevin Love just being healthy, active has been great. You can't ever sell Tristan Thompson short. He's just like one to me, one of the most underrated players. And as the Cavs have more success, he's getting more famous. But I love Tristan Thompson. You don't have to run plays for him. To me, he's like Horace Grant was on the old Bulls. Although I kind of hate to say that because it's kind of selling him short, I think. But same principle. He's the guy who does the dirty work, gets the rebounds, plays the defense. And you don't have to run plays for him, which is great on a team with so much firepower as the Cavs. He'll get his dunks here and there, his layups. He'll play tough defense. He'll set screens, all those things. Of Tristan Thompson. And I'll say another area where I think the Cavs have a big edge on the Warriors is toughness. Look at some of these guys are thugs. LeBron's a thug, and he's huge. Who's more of a thug between Kyrie and Stephen Curry? They're similar talent probably. But who's a little bit more of a thug, a little more of a street player, a little bit more of a, driving off the glass, 360 spin, just break your ankles type of player. Maybe not the pure shooter Curry is, but I'm saying who's more of a playground thug? It's definitely Kyrie. Tristan Thompson, kind of more thuggy than anybody Golden State has. Granted, Shumpert is another one I'd put in that group. So just between Shumpert, LeBron, Kyrie, Tristan, and J.R. Smith, real, kind of a prototypical thuggy type with all his tats and stuff. Those guys are not afraid to mix it up, and I think what they need to do, and I hope they do, and they did it last finals, and I believe they will. They need to hit Stephen Curry. They need to make him feel it. They need to play him like football, where you want to hit the guy, you want to make him feel everything. You hit the quarterback, even if you don't sack him, you make him feel it. And I believe they did a great job of that, and that's one of the main reasons they won last year's finals, and I believe they got to be focusing on it again, and I believe they will. They're going to hit Steph Curry. They're not letting him. Doesn't matter if you foul him, doesn't matter if he hits his three after you hit it. You got to rough him up. We got thugs in this team like J.R. Smith. That's one of our advantages. We got strong men. We got guys, what do they call them in hockey? Or the enforcer or something? Is that what the name is? But, the guy that's just there to be tough. Now, that's not J.R. Smith's only role and everything, but we got those guys, and I love it. I think that's an advantage for us. We got the street thugs, Shumpert and J.R. Smith, Tristan Thompson, Kyrie even, LeBron, even Kevin Love to an extent, I would say. Darren Williams looks like a thug. He may, Derek Williams is another guy who will put a body on you. So I think we got the thug advantage, and we need to use it. Especially on Steph Curry, we need to hit him. We need to bang him. We need to bump him, Make his life uncomfortable and make him feel it. Make him scared. So I think that'll be a great advantage, and I think we will. Another thing is I really liked, again, watching the finals last night, Game 7. One thing I really noticed and loved was the pace, especially in today's, it was our kind of pace. Look at the final score, what was it, 93-89, I think? That's an incredible, we held them to 89 points, and we only scored, that's a low scoring, that's a 13-10 football game. That kind of a game completely benefits the Cavs, and just throughout the game you can just tell that's the Cavs game. That's what we want to do. We want to get in there and muck it up, play ugly, beat them up. We got the advantage in that game. Play slow, ugly defense. That's how we won Game 7, and that's how we need to do the season. What kind of surprised me was how easily Golden State fell into that trap. I have a lot of respect for Steve Kerr. I would have think he would have really been on him to stay out of play fast, play smooth, play no contact, play skill, don't get down there, don't get sucked into their mucking up game. But he really didn't stop them, and all game Cleveland was doing what they wanted as far as the pace, They were mucking it up. Because early in that game, I was looking, Golden State started, and they hit like 6 threes where Cleveland had like none. Like in the first quarter and a half or something, they were like, Golden State was like 6 or 8 of 13, and Cleveland was like 1 of 12. And yet, you look at the score, and it was like constantly maybe a 2-point Golden State lead, 3-point Golden State lead, tie, Cleveland 2-point lead. I'm like, the announcers were kind of harping on. Draymond went like 6 of his first 7 from 3, mostly early. The announcers were rightfully harping on that, but I keep looking at the scoreboard. And it's like, okay, Golden State's getting what they want, hitting all these threes, and they can't pull away. How nice is this for the Cavs? We're playing dirty, mucking it up, getting free throws, getting to the line, getting layups. We're not even. And I'm thinking, how about if we actually start hitting our threes? Which we may never have done too much in that game, but it really made me hopeful for this series watching that. We didn't hit our threes in Game 7 last year. How much better can we be if we do? We were terrible at threes, and we still won. And that's not going to last. We're going to hit threes. So, yeah, I really think everyone's selling us short, and I think we got a great chance to win this. If not, there was a guy on Fox who was predicting the Cavs to win. And he made some good points that I liked. He was like, LeBron's going to have 7 days of rest before this game. 7 days rest. So he's going to be completely fresh. So in this guy's opinion, he said LeBron's taking Game 1 in Golden State. So if you take that presupposition that a rested LeBron is going to go into Golden State and win Game 1, he said then LeBron doesn't feel pressure to Game 4. I agree with what he said. You can lose. It's 1-0 Cavs. Okay, if you lose Game 2, it's 1-1. If you lose Game 3 at home, it's 1-2. Okay, at that point, you probably got to win Game 4, and you're still in good shape. You're still split 2-2. But, he said LeBron's going to win Game 1, and he won't have pressure again until Game 4. He'll be playing with house money for up until Game 4. And that's so dangerous because he's liable to take one or both of those other games. I really liked his, thinking in that way, and I agree with it. Take Game 1, the pressure's completely off, and yeah, and there's going to be a lot of rest in the series because just the way the finals are laid out. That's wonderful for LeBron. You got Kyrie, who's a monster. This guy is so good at getting it off the glass. You got Kevin Love playing great, and I think he's kind of the on-court glue. I think LeBron's a lot of the on-court glue, but I think Kevin Love really steadies the team. He gets them to play defense. He's like a quarterback on the field, a field general. And I know LeBron is that as well, but I think Kevin Love's kind of underrated in that aspect. So him playing so well is great, So I'm just saying, I think, yeah, it's going to be an upset with Kevin Durant being on the Warriors, but, I think we got, I see a great chance at this, and I see the stats. We're scoring better than Golden State. Oh, another thing I wanted to touch on was people are saying, they had similar runs to the playoffs if you look at the stats. But I heard some people on podcasts and some stats guys and so on. But Golden State faced tougher competition. Did they really? That's one thing I take issue with. Did they really? Did Golden State really face tougher competition this year in the West? To me, the West ain't what it used to be. There used to be 3 great teams in the West, at least. There was San Antonio, Golden State, and Oklahoma City. Well, Oklahoma City's gone. And, Houston's a nice team, but Houston doesn't scare me. Houston's not a great team, So right away you're going from 3 great teams to 2. And then you had the Spurs that they folded so bad against Golden State. It was one of the most terrible things I've seen. I mean, they didn't even try. I'm getting tired of Pop's act. Now, they went out in Game 1 and they're blowing out the Warriors and everything's rolling for them. Then Kawhi gets injured. They blow the big lead. Okay, we get all that. Golden State games. After that, to me, San Antonio just completely folded, and I don't know whether to blame Pop. I don't know what to blame, but they folded like a cheap deck of cards, They didn't even try. To me, I felt like Kawhi could have played in Game 2. You couldn't have scraped LeBron off the court. For a stub toe or whatever stupid crap Kawhi had. For him not to play the rest of the series was an embarrassment, in my opinion. And now, to me, it's just Pop is so, he likes to, if he has an excuse, he likes to, I have my problems with Pop in some ways. He likes to be a little bitch to put in. What he'll do is the Spurs will be playing great, and then they'll come up with a big regular season matchup with Golden State or something, and all of a sudden rest all his star players just for that one game. It's so annoying. It's like, what are you doing, Pop? You just know everybody wants to see this game. So you're just going to be a little bitch and rest all your guys because you just want to, get everybody or, just be a jerk, rob everybody of what they wanted to see. And not only that, but I think he does it because, like, if the Spurs are coming up and they're looking great in the regular season and people are starting to think of them as a contender to the Warriors or whoever it may be at the time, he wants to abdicate that matchup. He doesn't want to, he wants to stand down basically. It's like a duel, two prize fighters a duel, and he says no mas, no mas, as if he kind of wants to save it for the playoffs. But, at the same time, it's just annoying. And, the way the Spurs completely folded in this series was just a disgrace and really a black mark on Pop, in my opinion. Even without, one player, granted he's a great player. And I get that and all that. But first of all, he should have played. It's on him that he didn't. Cowie, come on, man. Your foot, really? Because somebody stepped on it, really? You think LeBron would go out for that? Suck it up, Cowie. And more to the point, Pop. I almost feel like it was a collusion. Pop didn't want Cowie to come back because he knew they were going to get blown away anyway. So now he had the excuse of, Cowie was out. So he didn't let Cowie play. In my opinion, it was kind of a collusion, in my opinion. Maybe not completely on Pop. But he didn't want Cowie to play. He wanted to cover for when they lost embarrassingly. And they folded like a deck of cards. So, yeah, I give you that the third round to Spurs was on paper much tougher if Cowie had played. But the way it played out, I don't think it was tough, I don't think the final round against the Western Conference Finals was tough for Golden State. The Spurs folded on them, They folded big time. There were no competition. They had 67 or 63 wins in the regular season, whatever the Spurs had. They weren't a 63-win competition, that they folded. They put up no fight, no resistance. So then you go to the earlier two rounds in Golden State. I had to look up who they beat because I couldn't even remember. They beat Portland and they beat Utah. Like, really? Really, are those teams super tough? Really? You don't think Cleveland could beat Portland and Utah? I know Utah has some talent, but so does Boston, and just look at their record. Portland was 41-41. I looked up all these records. That's who Golden State beat in the first round. The Cavs beat the Pacers in the first round. Pacers are 42-40. So the Pacers are, the Cavs first round opponent had a better regular season record than the Golden State's first round opponent. Then look at the second round opponent. It was Toronto, who's 51-31 for the Cavs. Utah, 51-31 for the Golden State. Is Utah probably a little better a basketball team than Toronto? Maybe. I don't even know because Toronto's pretty talented. Granted, they didn't necessarily have Lowry and stuff, but the point of it is that this idea that somehow Utah and Portland and then a San Antonio team that folded after, they put up about 3/4 of resistance and then folded like a deck of cards the rest of the way. Am I supposed to be impressed with that at all? I'm not. So to say, Golden State, they put up similar stats to Cleveland, but they played much tougher opposition. No, they didn't. I dispute that. Another X factor I don't think people are giving enough credit to is Mike Brown. I think he's a terrible coach, and I think he could really be an X factor. Now, I think it's going to hurt him. I think it's the biggest thing nobody's talking about. Nobody's talked about it. They dissect every aspect of these finals, but nobody has talked about the fact that Kerr is out, and I think coaching is such a big deal. And it's one thing that makes me mad. Nobody ever wants to talk about it in regards to LeBron. That he's won all his titles under terrible coaches, And look at all the titles Tim Duncan had, Michael Jordan had, Kobe Bryant. They were all under great Hall of Fame coaches. Phil Jackson, guys like that. And Popovich. Who's LeBron had? Spoelstra? Really? Really, Spoelstra? Now, Spoelstra has this reputation as a great coach, but what's he really done? He won one title without LeBron, I believe. But he was loaded with talent when he had LeBron, and he only won the title 2 out of 4 years. In my opinion, that's underachieving. He's never really done anything. How many seasons has he been coaching the Heat? Most years he's around 500 or less, including this year. This year he got all this accolades, and I was like, okay, a typical 500 Spoelstra. I guess you can make a case for Spoelstra. And if anything, it bolsters my argument. Because if you're going to say Spoelstra is a good coach, well, LeBron won 2 of his 3 titles under Spoelstra. That just proves it out. LeBron played 4 years under a good coach, if you count Spoelstra as a good coach, which I don't. But if you do, okay, LeBron played 4 years under Spoelstra and won 2 titles. 50% win rate. Other than that, he's had Ty Lue, freaking Mike Brown, wasted the first 5 or 6 prime years of his career. He's had the worst coaching imaginable almost, to be honest. So, yeah, that's, and Kerr being out for Golden State, I think that's an underrated possible issue. Look out for it. And we beat him last year with Kerr. So, and here's another thing I wanted to point out. Now, you can't completely go by this because of Durant being added. But if you just look at the last couple of years, couldn't you say that Cleveland's better than Golden State? Because we lost Love and Irving in 2 years ago. Can never keep straight these NBA seasons, what years they are since they started too. But let's just say 2 years ago, we lost, and we had no Kyrie and we had no Caleb. That's like them losing Clay and Steph. And let's say before they had, let's say it's like them losing Clay and Draymond, because let's call Steph their best player and LeBron Cavs. That's like the Golden State if they played 6 games, from game 2 on without, in the whole series without like Draymond, and then from game 2 on without Clay. People don't give LeBron enough credit, and they won 2 games, and they had a shot that series. Then you look at last year, straight up, they beat them, and people want to make all these excuses. Oh, it was because Draymond was out. Blah, 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 blah. Nobody wants to give the Cavs credit when they got their guys hurt or out. Then it's just all on LeBron. It's all LeBron's fault. But anytime like, oh, it's all because Draymond getting in. Well, Draymond wasn't even out the whole series. It was like one freaking game, And people are making such a, that's why the Golden State. At the end of the day, the chips are going to fall where the chips are going to fall. Whoever's injured, whoever's not injured, I don't care. Go win or don't win, Now, granted, if like LeBron James goes down or Kevin Durant, if just Kevin Durant goes down, the Golden State's got enough talent, they should still win anyway. But let's say Kevin and Steph go down, then I get it, Of course, you got to understand in those situations. But overall, I think the injury stuff is, I don't see how so many people are saying Golden State would have won if Draymond hadn't gotten suspended. It's all because of Draymond. He was suspended for 1 freaking game, And you've got enough talent. You got to win anyway. You still got Clay. You still got Steph. And you only lost Draymond for 1 game. What about the other 2 key games, Game 6 and Game 7? They lost with Draymond. Give me a break with this stuff. It's always an excuse for the team that loses to LeBron, But LeBron's never allowed any excuses. Anyway, it's now 6:20, so the game tips off in about an hour and 40 minutes. So let me just say, go Cavs.